Hi, we're on, I don't know what number in the series of our videos, but this week we are talking about white label agencies, white label service that we provide for web agencies. I think we know what we do in terms of that content service, Joe, but if you could just explain a bit more about what we provide, that would be great.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So let's look at what is a white label service. So it's a little less common now than it used to be. But basically the way it works is that it enables a web agency, let's take web agencies as an example, a way in which it can outsource certain parts of the service it delivers to other companies under its own banner. So the way white label works is we, for example, provide a service, content service to a web designer. We invoice them, they invoice their clients, and then we attend meetings if we're invited to, or we'll email from their brand, or and we'll be effectively a part of their team. So there is a kind of progression from that now, and we offer this service as well. Where it's called Clear Label, where it's exactly the same setup. A web agency will offer content services, but in that case, they'll say, we work with iContent. They'll contact you directly, but in terms of invoicing, we're still invoicing the web agency, and they still take the lead on the management. So it really, in that case, it all depends on whether you want to keep it under your brand. The pros to keeping it under your brand is that you're a full service agency, and that's what you that's what your customers see. But then the responsibility of delivery is yours, which is fine because we're obviously good at what we do, so we always deliver. When it comes to Clear Label, it means that from a web agency, you just think, no, actually, I want this wide open. I'll still manage the process, but these guys deliver the content, and then they shift the responsibility for us to deliver. We always do, but that just allows them to go, look, this is a preferred partner, and they'll look after you from now. So it makes it a little bit easier when it comes to making sure that everyone understands where they are, and there's no slip ups there. So, for example, back in the day when I worked with as a freelance with 10 agencies, for example, I would have 10 different emails. And so, in that process, it won't happen. But in that process, in the old days, you can imagine if you send an email from the wrong email address, because you had to select it every time, then you get that dialogue. And back then it was more serious. Who is this agency? Why you did? And then it puts the agency in a bit of trickiness. Whereas now it's a bit more open, and people understand that people use freelancers, and it's a lot easier to do Clear Label and white label. But I hope that was a very long-winded way of saying which one.
No, I think it's good. I mean, I knew about white labeling, but clear labeling I didn't really get, so that makes perfect sense. And it's like you said, it just depends on how they want to appear. If they want to appear as though they're all singing, all dancing, we're quite happy to sit behind that. They can say it's their content. We've become effectively like their team, but like you said, there's a bit more transparency now, and perhaps people don't want that on them. So within that service, Joe, you've obviously defined those two labels. What do we do? What do we offer web agencies?
Okay, so I know that you're the content expert and the content director, so I'm going to give that part in a minute to you to explain a bit more about the process of why someone would rather than outsourcing to a freelance content writer, use us instead. And I think there's lots of pros to that, and you'll go through that. So we offer a content service primarily, so I'll explain the process in a minute, but just to understand this. But we are, as you know, Caroline, we often use the analogy of a car. And if you can imagine the content services, bear with me with this, the content services is how aesthetically the car looks, and how it's perceived, and the optimization of a site is the engine. So what we say is that optimization is a fundamental part of the running of that car or the running of a site. If any website hasn't been optimized, then as a part of our service, normally the first month. We'll optimize the site and then fulfill the content services after that. If the site is optimized and ready to go, we can still do a preliminary review just to make sure that everything's in place, but then we start our content services straight away. So there is an element of optimization in this, and as we discussed in previous videos, it is effective and there's lots of quick wins to have, but so it's a content service with an MOT and a service if required. Right, so I was kind of swapping around analogies there, but yeah.
I love your analogies.
Yeah.
I live for your visual analogies, but they do make sense.
Not everyone does, but yeah. So how it would work in simple terms, we have a non-disclosure agreement with the agency. We talk to the agency. We have an initial meeting. We understand their needs. We understand where we fit into their process, and then we have an NDA, which is always important, so that to safeguard the web agency and us. Once that's in place, and we've discussed costs, which we'll talk about the revenue model, we then get to the point where the web agency says, okay, yeah, we might have a customer for you. So what we would say then is send across the details. We then we have a look at the site from an optimization point of view and make a decision, discuss with the web agency whether it needs to be a full optimization or there's just a few things that need to be looked at. We then load them into our CMS, which is basically a project management system that will allow the web agency to see what we do and how we do it, and there's a checklist in there. We then, this is all us and not the agency, so all the agency done at this point is given us the details, constantly updating the web agency. We will then ask for, if there's an optimization to do, we'll do some keyword research, we'll do some keyword mapping. We've discussed this in previous videos, but obviously feel free to contact us if you want more information about that. We'll ask for login details for the site. We're very proficient, or at the moment, I personally do the optimization, so I'm very proficient in a lot of different CMSs. So we're good with that, but we have to discuss that with the client. That's fine. With the web agency, we complete that process. We'll then update in the teamwork that we've done that. We'll do a preliminary ranking report. We send that to update that into the project management system and send that to the web agency. Now, I am whizzing through this, but the point here is that there is nothing or a very little for the web agency that needs to do, because we're very proficient at what we do. Once the optimization is in place, and I'll come back to you in a minute, Caroline, with this, we then go through the content process. Again, we can have a meeting with the client on behalf of the web agency as them. And in that sphere, we look at the website, whether the website needs more content and therefore pages, which could mean more work for the web agency. And then we look at the ongoing content, and all through this, it's just updates to the web agency. And there is opportunities there for them to create a revenue stream without doing a great deal of work, and knowing that what we offer is a very expert, very simple process to follow, and we get results. So I'll hand back over to you now, just to give us a bit more of an insight into how the white label content services work and how we interact and the process.
Yeah, so from my point of view, it depends what people want. Some agencies have me sitting on the meetings, the initial meeting, to form the client content profile, which we've talked about in previous videos, just so that we get a handle on who they are and what they want to sound like. Sometimes I don't do that. I just sit behind and they tell me this is what the client wants. But we know from the keyword research you've done, I've built up their profile, and then we'll generate content for them. Now, sometimes that gets sent from the web agency. They don't want me to have anything to do with it. On some clients, I contact direct under their banner. Sometimes other clients, as you said before, it's clear label, they know who we are. So it's however they want to work. And whatever aspect of content they want for that month, that's what gets generated. We know through our experience that content and timeframes and keeping that machine ticking is a bugbear, and it's a challenge. And through this, what we're trying to do is take that headache away from the web agencies. They've got their areas of expertise. why not hand this over to someone else? This is our expertise. As you said, your expertise, optimization, Google, SEO, there's nothing you don't know. My expertise is content. They get to do this, which we're going to move on to actually. You know, it is a quick, well-managed, chasing up content, it all flows and it works, and they've got that ability to hand that over to someone else. So I'm starting to talk about the benefits to them. But what else, Joe? I mean, what else do we take away from them? What value do we bring, and what does it do for their business?
Well, you know, thanks for that, Karen. That was awesome. And so, in my experience of running an agency, especially a small agency, so you're the head of it and you do most of the work or most of the management of the process. The more you outsource, and everyone outsources, that's fine, it's good, it's a good economy. The more you have to be a part of that process, the more, you know, content, for example. So back in my day, we were guest blogging, or we were putting blogs up on the site, slightly different to how we do it now. So content writer, I have to do a spreadsheet, complete spreadsheet of what the titles are, what the content should be, send that across, they get it back to me, I read it, not sure, I had to send it back to them maybe, or I send it to the client, they're not happy, come back. All that's pressure, all that is, I just want to, in web agencies case, I just want to do the web design, and this bit here is just a bugbear because I have to do it. So, you know, and before I get on, well, I am kind of talking about the benefits. So one of the other things that I think web agencies come up with against a lot is that they're part of the process that's exclusively theirs. The design and the application and the build, it is easy. As in, if left to their own devices, if I said to a website designer or web agency, here's the structure. So these are the pages I want. Here's all the content for those pages. They would knock it out in a week. And when I mean knock it out, I mean obviously do a great job. But that's, so what holds them up are these things. You know, can you give me the content for the homepage? Oh yeah, I've got to do that. I've got to do that. But we can't really move on to this bit until you've done that. Okay, I'll get back to you. And it's the real bugbear. So as a part of our content service, we have an amount of words, if you like. We don't really sell it like that. But if we start with the optimization process or the review, and we start thinking, well, do you know what? Or we get into it in a new build, we can then contact your clients or the web agency's clients and express the importance of content and the importance of delivering that content into that process of the web. You know, if you want your website up quickly, your responsibility is to provide that content. So a message to the web agencies from us is that we can provide that content. We are very, very good. Well, in fact, Caroline, you're very, very good at asking clients to give you a synopsis of what you want, understand their voice and writing it. So imagine web agencies having a company that initially, if we get into, you know, we do bespoke services for this kind of thing, of saying, you know, I'm going to send my content team in. They will not only get the content out of them or write it, and we'll obviously that will be a part of the initial proposal. It will be delivered to me within a week, and I can then do the build and get it out of the way. So that's a benefit of having us on their team. We're vastly experienced. I don't mind saying that because we are. There's many things I'm not very good at, including web design, but our experience is such that we can get across not just you have to write content, but the importance of in the process of getting that content back to us. And of course, we can, as content writers or as a content company, say, an optimization expert, say also, you know, putting your services, for example, on one page, no, you need 6 pages. And that can expand the job for the web agency as well. Not you know, deliberately upselling, but because it's going to be beneficial to the client. So that, you know, that getting across to web agencies that this is not just a copywriter on Fiverr. This is you know, a full content service backed up with years of experience, so that we can see those opportunities for web agencies and for new content and those kind of things. The main model here for us is, as a white label service, is we offer a trade price to web agencies, and that price is really of value enough for them to add their cut on top, right? They've still got to manage the process, those kind of things. So, you know, you can have very easily put 25 to 50% on top of the prices that we offer, and it's still market bearing, and it's still it will be perceived as value because of how much, other than having well researched, well written content, which I don't mind saying is absolutely brilliant and speaks to their clients. You've got this wealth of knowledge underneath that we can have a more rounded discussion with clients to say the reasons why they're doing it and how it impacts their site and their social media and their brand, and think about these other things that can transfer for more work for the web agency. You know, obviously, again, not upselling for the sake of it, just that's what comes from it. So this idea that we can create a revenue stream for web agencies and not just big chunks of money they're used to is lovely. Look, like bread and butter in the background, £2,000-3,000 coming in each month. It eases the pressure of them trying to find these bigger jobs, and allows them to then pick their jobs a bit more, you know, in their ideal clients kind of sphere. Then, you know, therefore, if you think about time, instead of the web agency or the web designer sitting there thinking, right, I've got to do all the content this month, I've got to send it to the copywriter, they've got to send it back to me, I've got to look at it. We manage the whole of that process, and we do it in such a good way that you know, they only really need one review. You know, they only need a few edits and it's done, because we listen to your clients. We listen to the clients so well, and we really have a great way of eking out exactly what they want to say and who they want to target. So even with sort of more high spec, high technical stuff that they want delivered, then we will get into that company and understand what they're trying to say, so that we are not just writing fluff around some keywords that they've given us.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's that foundation work, that beginning basic level start that we do, that just means it flows after that. And of course, with a web agency, first of all, you're like, well, you know, is this going to be okay? But once they realize, yeah, it is okay, and it does flow, and then, like you say, before they know it, they've got a revenue stream that they don't have to do anything, just keeps flowing in the background. They can concentrate on what they're specializing, what they're good at, and we get to do what we're good at.
Absolutely. You know, and it's all about contact with the customer. It's about having the confidence from the web agency to see that we genuinely care. It's a really difficult thing to get across, because people say that when they don't, because they think that's what people want to hear. But we genuinely care, because we don't want grief. We don't want the agency come back and saying, well, it's not really what they wanted. We don't want the customer coming back, it's not what you want. So we are very particular about our process, so that the web agency sitting there going, these guys are great, you know, give them more work, brilliant, which is what we all want. And the customers are thinking, this is great too, because we're communicating with them through either you of the web agency or directly, and constantly making sure that they like the content, constantly making sure they're using it as well, which is important, uploading it and then broadcasting it. So it's the whole process. You know, that's the unique selling point of us. It's not just what do you want, what's the title, oh, here's the content. It's really understanding, developing the customer for these for web agencies, developing the web agency as well to understand what we can do, and we can be much more entrenched in their process. We can go to a pitch, for example. You know, bear in mind, it depends on the size of the account and the size of the web agency and our relationship. But we can do that because we're that proficient and confident in what we do. We're only ever an asset in a pitch. So, yeah,
that's brilliant, Joe. Thank you so much. I think it's obvious what results we can deliver for web agencies. So I appreciate your time. Yeah, we do. We do. So thank you for explaining that. And we'll catch up again on another video.
Yes, well, I really enjoy these videos, and I'd just like to say, you know, web agencies out there watching this, you know, we understand that hesitance, you know, that these are your clients and you built them up over years. It's your brand, it's your name, and we really get that, because, you know, we don't want that. We don't want to damage your reputation, so we are very careful. So just come and have a chat, even if it's just a discovery call to just, you know, just work out whether we know our stuff. You know, that's fine. Yeah, absolutely. Great, enjoyed that. Thanks, Joe. Cheers. Bye.